Welcome to part one of drawing a face. This is going to be kind of a drawing from imagination, even though what I'm going to do is give you the structure based on several shapes. It'll be 10 steps, they're fairly easy, and what it's going to do is going to show you how to structure a face. So what I want you to do is get a piece of A4 paper and a 5B pencil. If you don't have a 5B pencil, that's fine. You can use whatever pencil you have handy, but that's what I'm using. So if you use the same thing as me, then we're pretty much, got the same tools for the same job. Alright, if you're ready, let's get started. For step one, I want you to draw a rectangle. So just like an elongated horizontal box. For this rectangle though, what I'd like you to do is to have a longer line at the bottom than at the top. So the lines at the side, the vertical lines, are going to angle inwards and up, so slightly diagonals, but only slightly. Once you've got that shape, I want you to find generally the center of that shape to draw another rectangle, but this one's going to be a vertical, narrow rectangle. And what you're going to do is draw that from the center down, and it's going to be about as tall as the rectangle you've drawn is kind of wide, the same sort of height, again, down below it. You can do it a little bit longer. Now, if you can't find the center, then I'll show you a quick little trick of how to do that. Go from one corner and do a diagonal line to the other corner. And then do the same thing from the opposite sides, so that you basically have an X in the center. And what you're going to do is draw a vertical line through the center of that X, and that is going to be the center of the rectangle. From there, once you have a line, you can draw bars on either side of that, and that's going to be where it is. But it doesn't have to be exactly the center of this box. It's just in case you're worried about how to find the center, that's how I'd suggest doing it. Just a little tip of how to find the center of a rectangle. Okay, so step 3 is going to be drawing squares that have been tilted 45 degrees. So not 90 and not 180, just 45 degree tilt. It's just slightly on its side, so that one of the points is going upwards. I'm going to do those on either side of that narrow vertical rectangle that you did a minute ago. And I want you to get generally the center of each space above and in the center of the narrow rectangle as well. So the next shape is a triangle facing downwards, but the reason why on my drawing it's slightly up into the second shape, into the vertical rectangle, is because I'm trying to create these channels. And this is what you're drawing. You're drawing their forehead, the eye sockets, and the triangle that you're drawing downward for the nose. And the next step is to draw the top lip, but it's only drawing it from the lines that come down from your nostrils down to the lips. So it's almost like a cup that's been turned upside down. Now this shape is almost like an hourglass. It's going to be big at the top, it's going to be smaller at the bottom. Now the next step I want you to draw is going to be to go back up to the first rectangle that you drew, and you're going to draw a line that goes down just below the lips, and then you're going to angle it in towards the bottom of the hourglass. The next step is going to be drawing the neckline. So you're going to go a little bit in from the angle, so it's not going to be exactly where the angle starts to connect to the bottom of the hourglass, a little bit inward. Then you square it off at the bottom, and you do the same from the other side. The next one is going to be to draw horizontal lines across the squares that we have for the eye sockets. And then the next thing that we're going to do is a slight curve, and that is going to go at the bottom of the triangle. And the very last step is to do little antennae-like sticks on either side of the eye sockets. on the outer part of the face. Now if I were to sit further back you'd be able to see this, but because I'm too close to the camera you can't really see it. And you can see on some people their ears, this part of the ear, you can see it protruding from the side of the face, and that's what we're drawing, just for the structure. But that's going to be it for this lesson. I just want you to practice that structure, because then you have the whole structure of the face. Now you don't have the top of the head, because we're starting drawing from the forehead down. But that's what this lesson is. It's going to be the structure of the face itself, and then all of those features can shift a little bit and can go larger, smaller, and more characterized in certain areas. Faces change with, different genetics. And that's what makes the world amazing and diverse, is that everyone's genetics make those features skew one way or the other. And that's what's beautiful about people's faces. So what we're going to be drawing is just a template to build and to play with. So let's go through the steps. Step 1 is the forehead. Step 2 is the bridge of the nose. Step 3 is the squares turned on an angle for the eye sockets. Step 4 is the bottom of the nose. Step 5 is the top lip. Step 6 is the hourglass shape for the bottom lip to the chin. Step 7 is the sides of the face down to the jawline. Step 8 is the neck. Step 9 is the lines for the centre of the eye and the nostrils. And step 10 is the little antennae looking for sticks for the sides of the ears. So practice that as much as you can. Look at yourself in the mirror, start to see those shapes and why they're drawn like that. As homework, practice this structure of drawing a face. If you can get used to how to draw these shapes in order, then you'll start to recognize the spacing for the anatomy of the face. And that's why I want you to draw these shapes. And then what I want you to do is to draw the shapes of the face over and over again, even with different spacing, different sizes. So I'll show you an example. So the spacing changes from one face to the next. And that's what I want you to practice, different shapes of faces for this part of the lesson. So part 1 is the structure, and once you have the structure, the next part is more of a greater understanding. So it'll be worth watching the next one just so that you can see how I explain where I make my decisions. Try it out for yourself, have fun, and try to look at your own face in a mirror and other people's faces, and to see these shapes on the faces of the people that you can see or on yourself in the mirror. So you can even start to practice your own face in that structure. The most important part to me of this is that where you get the eye socket shape and then the triangle. So I want you to have a small channel between the two. I don't want them to touch each other. So the eye sockets shouldn't be touching the triangle. You need to have a line going in between. Just like how you can see my eye socket there, my nose here, and you have this line coming through. That's what you need on the face. Okay, so practice that, and I will upload the next video soon for part 2 of Beginner's Guide to Drawing a Face. Bye.